Okay, so for this lesson, we are continuing on with solving equations with a variable. In this lesson, you're going to be dealing with multiplication and division. You did do a little bit of this with your IXL, kind of gave you a preview. So this is going to solidify it in your mind. Your key idea you wrote, you should have recognized that when you're multiplying and you multiply on one side, you got to multiply by the same number on the other side. So if I multiply A times C, I have to multiply B times C to keep them equivalent. Same thing with division. If I have A and I divide it by C, then I have to do the same thing on the other side of the equation. Okay, you've already done a little bit of this. So let's look at example 1. Put this in your journals. We have x divided by 3 equals -6. So x divided by 3, what is the opposite math? Well, first of all, what does x over 3 mean? It means what? It means division, right? What's the opposite of division? Very good, multiplication. So instead of dividing, I'm going to multiply times 3. Whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right.
Wait, how come it's dividing?
X over 3 means division.
Oh.
Anytime it's that. We also use it as a fraction. So if you think fraction, then you just think what's the inverse and then you multiply. Either way works. So those are canceled. I'm left with x equals, what's -6 times 3?
18.
-18. Make sure you keep that negative with it. Any questions so far?
So that's what's x?
X equals -18. We just solved for x. That's what you're going to be doing in these next few assignments, is you're just solving for the variable. So whatever the letter is, you can move all the numbers away from it. All right, for B, 18 equals -4y. Does it matter which side the variable is on? No. So we can leave it over on the right-hand side and just move all the numbers to the left. When I have a number next to a letter, what kind of math is that? So the opposite of multiply is? Divide. So divide by, take the negative with it. Divide by -4. So that's canceled. I'm left with just the y. What is 18 divided by -4? It's going to come out to be a fraction or a decimal.
It's 4, 2 out of...
4 times 4 is 16. It's 4.5. It reduces to -4.5 or -4.5, whichever way you want to do it. And I will accept either a fraction or a decimal. It doesn't matter. Good? All right, grab a piece of paper. On number 1, x over 5 equals -2. Please show your work on your papers. All right, so this is what kind of math? So we're going to do multiplication. So times 5 times 5. So those cancel. I'm left with x. What's -2 times 5? Very good. -10. All right, number 2, we have -a equals -24. Is this solved already?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, because there's a negative by
Because there's a negative by the a. We can't have a negative with the variable. So how do I get rid of a negative?
Add.
Nope, this is technically a -1 times a. Very good. So we would divide by -1. Divide by -1. A equals...
1?
No, 24 divided by 1 is 24. All you're doing is flipping the signs.
Wait, so I don't understand. How come the negative could be next to the a?
When you have a -a, it's not simplified. That's what that's all it's telling you, is it's not simplified. When you're solving for a variable, it's not simplified. So whenever you see a negative variable, you just divide everything by -1. It basically takes all of your signs and flips them to the opposite sign.
Would it equal +24?
Correct. All right, let's do number 3. 3 equals negative 1.5n. So this is what kind of math?
Multiply.
So we're going to do what?
Divide.
Divide by negative 1.5. Divide by negative 1.5. So those cancel. I'm left with just the n. So what's 3 divided by negative 1.5?
5.
No. How many times can 1.5 go into 3?
2.
2 times. Now it's a negative 2 because we have a positive divided by a negative.
So whatever you do on one side, you have to do it to the other.
Correct. In all equations, whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do the other side. Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Whenever you're moving stuff around, just whatever you did to one, you do to the other. Okay, so now let's see what it looks like with a fraction. Go to example 2. I have negative 4/5 x equals negative 8. Now this is 4/5 times x, right, on the left-hand side here? So you would think we're going to do division, correct? But since it's a fraction, when you divide fractions, what are you actually doing? You're finding the reciprocal and then multiplying. So instead of dividing by 4/5, I'm going to flip that and say 5/4 and multiply.
Multiply by negative 8.
Okay, because the 5 cancels and the 4 cancels like this. I'm left with just the x. And then I just multiply it. What's a negative times a negative?
Positive.
So we know our answer is going to be positive. So what's 8 times 5
It's 40.
divided by 4?
It's 10.
8.75.
8 times 5 divided by 4.
Wait, why don't we divide it by 4?
8 times 5.
Oh.
Because if I had done this over here, I would have gotten 40 over 4, which is divided.
Oh, and you want to simplify it.
Correct. Good question. All right, was that confusing to anybody? Please ask. If you get confused, let me know. All right, so let's do the on your own number 4. Put this on your paper. Negative 14 equals 2/3 x. All right, so again, this is normally you would divide, right? But since it's a fraction, we're going to
We're going to flip it.
flip it and multiply.
So that's what you always do. You just flip it and multiply.
When it's a fraction. Absolutely. So then those cancel and left with x equals. So then I put the 14 over 1, if that helps you. What is negative 14 times 3?
Wait, where did you get the 3 from?
30. No.
It was 2 over 3.
42.
So 42 over 2.
Yeah.
It's a negative 42.
Because
Where did
you
we get
multiply
the
two.
3? We flipped the 2/3 and flipped it to 3/2. Okay, so what is negative 42 divided by 2?
That's 21.
Negative 21. You see here? So this was 2/3. So I flipped
You
it.
don't flip the fractions.
No, you just flip them over.
Oh, okay, but not around.
No, you flip them over.
Oh.
And then you multiply straight across.
Did we flip the 14 over 1, or we just put the 1?
You just put the 3/2 next to it, and then you multiply straight across. So you get 3 times negative 14 over 2 times 1. That's how I got negative 42 over 2. And then you just simplified. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's do number 5. We have negative 8/5 times b equals 5. So what am I going to do?
Flip the.
So instead of it being negative 8/5, it's negative 5 over 8. So then on this side, negative 5 over 8. So those cancel. I'm left with b. Make this 5 over 1. So I have a positive times a negative, so I know my answer is going to be what? Negative. So 5 times 5 is?
25.
8 times 1 is?
8.
So that you can leave it as negative 25 over 8, or you can simplify it, which would be negative 3 and 1/8. I will accept either answer. Any questions? All right, so let's number 6. We have 3/8 times h equals negative 9. So what am I going to do?
Flip.
Flip what?
The fraction.
To be 8 over 3. So then multiply this side times 8 over 3.
Cancel h.
Get h. So what's negative 9 times 8?
72.
Negative 72, right?
And then, so
Over
negative 17
3.
over 3.
Can 3 go into 72?
Yes.
Yes.
How many times?
15.
Is that, are we sure that's 72?
9 times 8 is 72.
Yeah. 3 goes into 7 2 times, which is 6. So then 3 goes into 12 4 times.
Oh yeah, so it's 24.
3 goes into 72.
So negative 24.
7 2 times and
H equals.
So my answer is negative 24.
I'm starting to get me on this.
You are. You're doing great. All right. Any questions on that last one? No? Good? All right. Let's do example 3. Not yet. Okay, I'll have to call him here in a minute. All right, so we have a thermometer. The record low temperature in Arizona is 1.6 times the record low in Rhode Island. What is the record low temperature in Rhode Island? All right, let's read what we heard again. The record low in Arizona is 1.6, so Arizona equals 1.6 times the record low in Rhode Island. So I'm just going to say RH. What is the record low in Rhode Island? So what is the record low in Arizona?
It's 1.6.
40 negative.
Yes, you see over here in the picture it's negative 40. So I could say negative 40 equals 1.6 times the temperature in Rhode Island, which I'm just going to use X as my temperature in Rhode Island. See how I did that? So now can I solve for the temperature in Rhode Island?
Yes.
Yeah, what do we do?
Oh, we have to. It's multiply.
It is multiply, so what's the opposite of that?
Divide.
So we're going to divide by 1.6. So what is negative 40 divided by 1.6?
But we cancel out the right one with 1.6.
Yep.
It's
This is where you might want a calculator. I mean, you could do it if you want. It is. Good job. If I'd say 1.6 divided into 40, I got to move the decimal, so this becomes 400. 16 into 40 goes 16 twice, which is 32. So that's 80. 16 times, I'm going to guess 5, is 80. All right, so the record low in Rhode Island is what?
Negative 25 degrees.
Negative 25 degrees. Fahrenheit, yeah. This is a word problem.
We're still labeling it.
Still label. And with degrees, the nice thing is you just got to put that little circle and then F for Fahrenheit. Good. All right, now on your own, number 7, keep your journal open because we're going to use the problem we just dealt with. The record low temperature in Hawaii is, okay, so Hawaii is negative 0.115 times the record low in Alaska. So 0.15 times Alaska. The record low in Hawaii is what?
0.12.
Is 12. Yep. So I can plug the 12 in where my Hawaii is, right? So 12 equals negative 0.15 times the Alaska.
Where did we get 12 from?
You kept reading in the paragraph. The record low temperature in Hawaii is 12 Fahrenheit. So now can we solve for the record low in Alaska?
Yes.
Yes. What do I need to do? This is multiply. So we're dividing. Take the negative with it. Negative 0.15. So then A is, yep, by itself. So 12 divided by negative 0.15. So I would grab my calculator here and do 12 divided by negative 0.15. It's okay. Elliot, say it again.
80?
Positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative, because it's a positive divided by negative. So the record low in Alaska is negative 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's really cold. Especially for us Texans.
I'm never gonna live there.
Not during that time of the year.
And you're like 40s.
Yeah, we're like freezing when it's. Okay, so you've done on your own numbers 1 through 7. Yay, there's easy points. Your assignment is to do, turn the page, exercises 7 through 29, all of them. But that's all your assignment, no IXL. So just 7 through 29.